Hi, Madison. Thank you so much for joining me again. We've had a lovely conversation last year when you guys launched the Smart MDI system for the diabetes community in Europe. Thanks for doing a follow-up. I would love to hear your experience 1 year in. How has the European community responded to the Smart MDI system and what's been like?
Yeah, it's been really great. So we initially launched and currently we're in 13 different countries. And this was just about a year ago. And so since then, we've actually just launched our SmartMDI system with the Simplera CGM. So I have it with me here, but we have our new sensor. So you'll notice completely different form factor and a new easy insertion process. So we say it's really 2 steps. The first is just uncapping the product and then pushing and placing it on. And there's no over tape required. Now we have our sensor and our transmitter in one. It's fully disposable after 7 days. No finger sticks required. So we're really excited to continue to advance and evolve our system. First with the new CGM, and then also we've brought 2 new smarter dosing notifications is what I like to call them.
Right.
But we're just continuing to advance the system, and I think it's really exciting.
Smart MDI is still such a new technology type really for the diabetes community in Europe. We've had pumps and hybrid closed loop for a long time. We had kind of pens and syringes. That kind of connection of both, that gap in the middle. For those who are still unsure what Smart MDI actually is,
Yeah.
what's a 45-second pitch of it?
Sure. So I always talk about that there's been, I mean, pump therapy is amazing. It's the gold standard, but we've watched pump therapy evolve and grow so much. And I say that us people on MDI therapy have been kind of left in the dark ages.
Left behind, yeah.
Of like pencil and paper and no way of knowing what we took, when we took it, how to calculate our doses. And so I really see this system as truly elevating, bridging the gap in the technology and helping to get people that either are on MDI because of access, cost, or just personal preference, like myself. We're really helping to elevate what's possible with MDI therapy.
Yeah. So the grey pen you hold in there, that works with the Eli Lilly.
Correct.
And you also have a blue SmartMDI pen, which works with the Novo insulin. Is that right?
Exactly. So you open this up and this cartridge holder gets removed and you put either the Lilly or the Novo cartridge inside of it. And that's the part that's, let's say, disposable each time. And then this part is reusable for 365 days.
You mentioned the new smart notifications. Yeah, what's that? Why don't you give us a quick overview of that new feature?
Yeah, so this aspect I actually really love because when you think about CGM only or just wearing a CGM, often alerts are just guided by how quickly is your glucose rising or did you cross over a glucose threshold. But when you think about diabetes management, it's not just what's my glucose, but it's when did I last take a dose? How much insulin do I still have working in my body? And so now that we have a system that brings together insulin dosing and a continuous glucose monitor, you can be smarter about how we alert, when we alert, and really think about it in the context of diabetes management and not just glucose control. So we have a missed dose alert, which is looking at a rate of change. So when your glucose starts rising quickly, we check to see if there's a surrounding insulin dose. And if not, then we're prompting, hey, did you miss a dose? Your glucose is rising. And so that's one way of kind of, getting a glucose alert, but tying it back to therapy and then giving you action through the dose calculator of what to do now. Now that I missed a dose, what should I take? And then next we have our correct high glucose alerts. So again, I talk about this even from my own experience. I have to kind of, with CGM alone, I would choose between maybe a lower glucose alert, like at a 180, let's say a threshold, or 10 millimole. And But often what that meant is that I would get alerted often and there was nothing I could do about it. And so then sometimes patients elect or users elect to raise the alert threshold so that they don't get interrupted as much.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that I don't want to do anything until my blood sugar is over a really high value.
Right.
So now these alerts are smarter and thinking about not only is your glucose high, but is active insulin low enough that we know additional insulin is going to be needed to get you back to target.
Right.
So if you just took insulin and your glucose is high, we don't need to interrupt you because we just need to wait for insulin to do its job.
Right.
So those are the two new dosing notifications that personally I think are incredible for MDI therapy because it allows for less interruptions and then guidance on what to do next.
So would you say, because they sound very similar to what pump users, especially in hybrid closed loop, had the ability to have your 7 ATG system, for example, auto bolus, when it almost detects that there's been a high glucose spike, and kind of is that almost the same methodology that you kind of thought this is the technology that the pump community has been able to get? Now with notifications we can actually bring some of that proactiveness to pen community.
Yeah, I mean, so knowing how much insulin on board allows us to know like when is action needed or when can I take a dose versus when do I not need to.
Right.
And so I see these alerts. I mean, we've done some research, we've done simulations and estimated by using this alert instead of a traditional high alert.
Right.
You expect maybe a reduction of 50% of your CGM alerts and alarms. Wow. And you know, it's not the same algorithm that we're using in the pump, but it is thinking about things similarly. What are the challenges? Sometimes patients or users forget to dose.
Right.
That's okay.
I do that. I did that this morning.
It happens, right? We're all busy. We're living life.
Sure.
And knowing that the system is going to help to detect it and say, hey, you forgot. Here's what you need to do to
you had a croissant. So the app updates and the new notifications you mentioned, the existing SmartMDI system users across kind of Europe, how can they get those two new notifications we just discussed?
The good news is it's actually really easy. You go to the App Store and you download the latest version of the app. Yeah. So the same pen
the existing pen
will continue to work with the application, and then you know, as you move to the new sensor, you just continue to connect it through the InPen app. But really, there's not much work. You just update to the latest version of the app in the App Store.
Great. So I just wanted to close on focusing a little bit on the UK. So first of all, if you could share with us the timings for the updated SmartMDI system with Simplera for the UK, and if someone is interested in kind of learning more, who in the diabetes care do they need to speak to? Is it primary care or secondary care?
Yeah, so actually next week we'll be officially launching in the UK, and so in order to get the system, you'll just need to speak with your healthcare provider in secondary care, in diabetes clinic, and then we also have an option for you to shop for it on our eShop in the UK. So look forward to this being available starting next week.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's great as always.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Alison, thank you so much for joining me. Madison, sorry, my God. Oh! Hi, Madison. Thank you so much for joining me. I know your name is Madison.
Madison, Ali.
Alessia.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
That goes into the start.
Yeah, for sure.
It does. Okay.